Welcome back to Wellness Wave Radio. Thanks for tuning in this morning to ride the wave with us. Each week our goal is to give you at least one suggestion that will make your life a little better. My name is Phil George. I'm a clinical biochemist, a certified personal trainer, and a health coach. Please remember that everything we discuss in the show is for informational purposes only and should not be taken as medical advice. And we're going to be talking a lot about medicine today, so we're going to get a lot of information. If we get two doctors with us today. So we have a Dr. Nair and Harry. And so Dr. Nair, why don't you introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Phil, for having us on your show. For our audience, I am Rekha Nair. I am an internal medicine primary care physician who is double board certified in internal medicine as well as lifestyle medicine. I was practicing in the traditional primary care setting for 15 years when I switched to start my own Rhythm Medical, which is a direct primary care or membership-based primary care.
And Harry, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. First of all, I'm Rekha's husband. My background is I'm a clinical chemist. So clinical chemists are the medical directors of laboratories, the transition between lab and the doctor's office. So I have served as a lab director, medical director for multiple labs, and then I owned my own lab, and now I'm part of Rhythm Medical, where we combine, the evidence-based medicine and lifestyle medicine to offer patients, what we think is the best possible path to wellness.
So actually, we did also a really good show. We did a show before on the radio, and we talked about that. And so a lot of people aren't familiar with what they call direct primary care. So why don't we explain what exactly is direct primary care?
Yes. So direct primary care, it is membership-based medicine. For example, when you call your physician's office, when do you get an appointment? You usually have to wait about 9 months to a year before you get in for your physical. And if you call for any urgent needs, most of the time you don't get in the same day, and you're directed either to urgent care or after a week. And that's not, good medicine. So because the reason for that is, in a traditional insurance-based primary care, a physician has about 2,500 or 3,000 patients on their panel, and they have to see about 15 to 30 patients a day. I had a panel of about 2,500 patients, and I was a part-time physician. So it was just numbers, the more number of patients you see, the better. But here in direct primary care, it is membership-based. The patients usually, or members usually pay me a low monthly fee, and then they can see me anytime they want. The physical, they don't have to wait for their physicals for months. I usually get them in within a week, and for any urgent care needs, the same day or within 24 hours, they get to see me. The other advantage is they directly deal with me. If they have any questions, they text me. There is no calling and waiting to speak with the doctor or sending the message to the doctor. So that's the advantage.
Right. The other thing, what I really like about it is, we talked about this before, but there's an expression with the mafia, your health is the most important thing. And one of the things I start off with when I do my seminars, I say, if I could wave a magic wand over you and make all of your illnesses go away, how much would you pay me?
Right.
The look on people's face when they realize how important their health is. The other thing is there's another expression, you don't know what you have until you lose it. Mm-hmm. So once your health starts going, but what I tell my clients is basically don't wait until you get sick. Other thing we talked about actually before the show is the expression, if you let the patient talk long enough, they'll let you know what's wrong with them. I liked your story. Why don't you tell your story about the patient that came in that was urinating? And I think I think this kind of really highlights the whole thing. A lot of times, if the average doctor, they've got 15 minutes.
Right.
The expression is diagnose and adios. So you get you in, give you a drug, give you a procedure, and get you out. They're not really looking in terms of what's your lifestyle, what's your exercise, what's your stress level, all
Right.
these type of things.
Right.
And so what would happen is, and you're the physician, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if I'm a physician and Harry comes in and he tells me I can't sleep at night, I'm urinating all through, I'm going to probably give you a drug that's going to shut it down. And I had Donna Bartlett, she teaches at the Mass School of Pharmacy, and she even said that there's a side effect to everything. There's no free lunch with drugs. Something's going to happen. So I would probably either prescribe the drug, and if it doesn't work, you have to come back, give you another drug. So why don't you tell us about that patient you saw and the different protocol you went through?
Yes. So I saw this 49-year-old gentleman who came to me for the first time. He had this complaint of frequent urination. He told me that he was waking up at night about 6 times a night. So his sleep was really fragmented and he was exhausted during the daytime. He said, I have no energy to do anything during the daytime. He had seen urology and they had done all sorts of testing. Everything was normal, and they started him on the medication to curb his urge to urinate frequently. But that really did not help him. So I sat with him and I learned about his lifestyle. I actually spent 2 hours with him. And I learned that he was consuming 4 cans of diet soda a day. So I told him, can you just do one thing? Just stop your diet soda and then come back and see me in 6 weeks. He did that. He came back for follow-up, and when I asked him, how often do you wake up at night? He said, 0. I don't wake up at all. Maybe occasionally once. I said, perfect. And he was feeling so much better. I took him off his medication, and he was a happy camper.
And again, I think this is what we talked about, is people's lives, first of all, everybody's different. We have different genetics. There's so many different things involved there. So just coming in with the symptom and treating just that symptom, you're not treating what they call a holistic or functional medicine. You're not treating the entire person. So, and if I remember correctly, you could be 1 or 2 hours in the initial consult. Mm-hmm. So you're going again. I hate to use the word holistic because it's kind of overused, but you're really doing a holistic. What's your stress level? What are you eating? What are you exercising? And the rest of this stuff. So you're looking at the complete person. And so I think that's the whole thing. So you're able to figure out and not just throw a drug at it. The other thing you talked about, can you explain the 2 things you're board certified in and exactly what that means?
Yes. So one is I'm board certified in internal medicine, which I need for practicing primary care. And the other board certification is lifestyle medicine. So what lifestyle medicine is it helps prevent the chronic diseases. We have an epidemic of chronic diseases. U.S. actually spends $3.7 trillion annually on these lifestyle diseases, and that is 90% of healthcare expenses. Just by medications, we are not going to get a handle on this. It is only going to get worse. We really need to address their lifestyle and, treat these lifestyle diseases with lifestyle medicine. So the lifestyle medicine, it encompasses 6 pillars. It's wholesome, nutrient-dense diet, natural movement, stress management, restorative sleep, positive social connections, and avoidance of harmful substances. So when a person comes into my office, I ask about all their pillars of lifestyle. And work with them as a team on what they can do to make positive changes. and we have frequent follow-ups. It's not like, in the traditional insurance-based medicine, I'm not able to see them like every month as I want. Here in my practice, some of my patients even see me every 2 weeks. So they say that they want to be held accountable. So they come and they have to answer to me. So so they really are taking their health seriously. So we work as a team. They are happy, and I'm very satisfied that their health is improving, and I'm a part of it.
But the other thing I liked, again, from the TV interview, they come in, and you guys have a lot of little toys and stuff in there, too, that you work with. You tell us a little bit, even above and beyond what most physicians have in their office. You were saying, I thought there was other stuff.
Yes, we have. The lifestyle medicine is a focus, right? We think that lifestyle diseases need lifestyle medicine as part of the therapy to reverse or to prevent. So one thing that we have been, it's a process where we incorporate into our clinic the various components of lifestyle medicine. So, for example, we have tied up with a partnership with a personal trainer, and so he has the personal training company actually resides in our clinic, and so all of our patients have access to the personal training and a free physical fitness assessment. And similarly, we offer lifestyle medicine to the clients of the personal training company. So we have a mutual symbiosis, if you will, where the patients have the clients of our partner and our patients have ability to access both primary care, lifestyle medicine care, as well as physical fitness. So a lot of times, the exercise, as we all know, is an important part of well-being, but it's not that straightforward for a lot of people. For example, yesterday I woke up with not being able to do squats. I had some back issues. Now, there are many situations like that prevent a person from being able to walk the way you want. So the physical fitness assessment informs the patient about the limitations that they might have temporarily for what they want to do. So then that becomes part of our clinical data, and so that becomes part of our patient history, and we follow up on that. We get them back to where they want to be in their physical fitness, so that they can do the things that we would like them to do in terms of lifestyle medicine. So this is just an example. Now we are also building a coalition of mental health and other other partners, and eventually when we are done, we will probably have a more complete array of looking at the patient from different angles, anchoring on our clinic. So that's our goal.
Yeah, no, and again, I think the whole holistic thing, the mental health, the physical health, and the exercise is actually the key. And you talked about I only have 4 pillars of health, so I'm not as advanced as you. So my 4 pillars of health is basically exercise, nutrition, sleep, and community, socialization. It's really, really important. But it's the same thing, is that you have to look at the whole thing. I had a client, and you must run across this too, and she was recommended by a trainer, and the girl, she's Brazilian, great shape, everything was going great. And I sat down with her, just going to go with the nutrition component, and I sat down with her like 5 minutes, says, your problem is your problem is you're stressed in the nights. I could see it on her face. This girl was only 30 years old and came down with the shingles. Mm-hmm. She says, my husband told me I come home, I'm always in a bad mood, this, and this. And as you know, the audience will know, what happens is we all have that shingles virus inside of us all the time. But what happens when our immunity goes down, because we release all that cortisol, basically, your immunity starts shutting down, and then the virus comes out, and so that's the whole thing. So just because, if I was a regular, primary care doctor, which I'm not, what would happen? I could just throw a drug at you, maybe just to get the shingles a little bit down, an anti-inflammatory, something like that. Well, it's not the root cause. I don't know about, as a clinical biochemist also, I belong to a group called root cause practitioners. So we want to know what's causing the problem, not just throw a drug at it, do a surgery at it. So I think, again, that's what you're doing. You're looking at that patient, the whole patient, you know, and mental. What's your socialization like? Are you seeing people? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? So you're able to make suggestions.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, Phil, you're so right, and I think I'm at an advantage in that I practice lifestyle-based medicine as well as evidence-based medicine. So just for example, you know, like a patient with shingles, yes, you know, when the patient comes to me or just texts me, you know, a picture where I can diagnose, okay, this is shingles, you know, let's start you on the antiviral within the 48 hours so that you are not as uncomfortable, you know, minimize their discomfort and then address the root cause. Yeah, so I think that's the best part, that I'm able to do both, because I get to spend as much time. I have a smaller panel here. I will have about 300 patients, so I get to spend, you know, as much time as is needed without, you know, and address all of their concern without, you know, always looking at the watch. Okay, I'm done. You know, I need to go to my next patient. So yeah.
Yeah, because the other thing, the other big advantage, again, one of the problems, again, I saw, I think I mentioned this before the show, I had a client that came in, he was 70-something years old, he was an architect, and smart guy, and he says, you know, I have no energy. So we talked about this, the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cells. Almost everything comes down, in my opinion, to mitochondrial dysfunction. You're not making energy.
Engine. Yeah.
You're not making energy, there's a problem here. So it's like, it used to be they used to call it the Energizer Bunny. They have the bunny running around, have the battery. Right. So the other thing I'd like to make for the listeners, for the viewers, is if you think about it, it's kind of like your iPhone, or you know what happens as the battery starts wearing down, it starts shutting down different parts of it to preserve the battery, keep going. So it's just like what's happening with us, you know, with the mitochondria. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the most mitochondria is in your heart, and number 2 is in your brain, because they're huge entities. What happens is, if you produce less and less energy, it's going to save all the energy, go to your heart or go to your brain to keep it going. So you have to figure out what's going on. So with this gentleman, what I said is, you know, maybe we should look into your testosterone and this and everything else and see what's happening. So you're going to be able to, we used to call it in medicine, rule out. Let's find out what it's not. What's the most likely thing? But we had mentioned too, unfortunately, a lot of insurance companies are not going to pay for these particular tests. That's the other thing I love about your practice.
Yeah.
Is can you address a little bit about how the labs are covered?
Sure. So one of the clearly, you know, about 70 or 80% of clinical decisions involve labs. But the way we use labs as part of clinical care is, in my opinion, very fragmented. You know, it's more driven by economics and policy than the real patient need. So one thing that we decided earlier on is that we will incorporate with our membership a set of panel of tests that will allow a patient to know the risks, the metabolic risk, diabetic risk, cardiovascular risk, and any other risks that might be apparent. So, because if you don't know the risk, what are you really what are you doing to be well? So the risk assessment is really underused, and so we want all our patients right from the get-go to have a clear understanding of their risks, so that we can make a plan. We can follow up with them. So with that in mind, the first patient visit is about 2 hours. She spends an hour to 2, and in some cases sets out the whole afternoon for the patient if the patient is complicated. And then at that time we also send the patient for a panel of tests. So we know right from the beginning what is the patient's risk. For example, about 90% of the people don't know that they are at risk for pre-diabetic. They are pre-diabetic. And similarly, a large number of people don't know what their risk is for cardiovascular disease. And we have this occasional, once in a while testing, which might indicate long-term risk, but it doesn't tell you anything about where they are at this point in their journey. So we believe that if you don't know, then you cannot really make a plan around it. So the idea is to know where the patient is at the moment, and then take the patient, then walk with the patient to where we want, where the patient and us want to be. So for that, we offer this tests. Many of them are not offered routinely because insurance doesn't believe in spending money for tests that they believe cheaper tests exist. An example of that is fasting insulin. Now, fasting insulin is such an important test in the metabolic journey. It's a pity that it's not routinely offered by insurance. They say, oh, glucose is fasting glucose is a proxy for that, so why not we do that? Because glucose is a much cheaper test, fasting glucose, and so that's used as a proxy. Whereas we want to make sure that we want your fasting glucose, we want your fasting insulin, we want to measure where you are with your insulin resistance, and then make a plan around your lifestyle. And where intervention is warranted, we intervene. Where long-term planning is necessary, we get all the tools that we need for through our testing and patient history and the long conversations that we have with patients. So that's where in our view, that's where the labs should fit in. It should be an integral part of your clinical history, your clinical goal, and it should be monitored. So we offer longitudinal monitoring of labs for patients up to about 4 times a year. So if we or the patient feel like we need to test the patient every 3 months, we would do that.
Right. I like the expression, you can't change what you don't measure.
Right.
So again, I'm also a clinical biochemist, and I got to tell you, for all the 20 plus years I worked in the lab, I ran a lot of tests. You're the only person that ever even mentioned fasting insulin. I've never had a doctor ever order fasting insulin. I found out the reason why. The American Diabetic Association, they said hemoglobin A1C, which is a measure of basically 3 months worth of what your blood sugar is at, is enough. Right. But so for the audience to find out, hey, feel free to correct me if you disagree with this. So what happens is, and these numbers are not correct, but let's just say your blood sugar is 100. And this, we get a railroad track here. Everything's parallel. This is 100, and let's just say that your insulin's 100. I'm not sure, but just pick a number. And as long as, and what happens, so the audience knows, what happens is your pancreas is pushing out insulin. So you're eating bad stuff, and you're eating, and all of a sudden, everything's parallel. You got just enough insulin to keep in your cell, but all of a sudden, what happens is you keep eating bad stuff, so your insulin has to go up like this. So you're getting your blood sugar still 100, and your A1C is still probably fine.
Right.
But it keeps going up, and all of a sudden your insulin is through the roof. The studies say 10 to 20 years before you come down with type 2 diabetes, your insulin was screaming at you. Yeah. Was screaming at you. Other thing I'll say, I was able to do it. I've got a lot of other people, a lot more letters after the name than I have, able to reverse type 2 diabetes. It's not that difficult. However, you want to catch it early, because it would become more and more insulin resistant, because the insulin is a little key that's letting the sugar in, and all of a sudden you keep doing it over and over again. You're burning out the beta cells of your pancreas, number one, so your pancreas is getting tired, and then this is getting tired, and all of a sudden we have to work, or you have to work a lot harder. You have to work a lot harder at doing it. So by you doing basically the fasting, another test is called the HOMO-IR.
We can calculate the HOMO-IR from that.
Right? Yeah, it's a formula. Yeah. So again, 20 years I've worked in the lab. No doctor has ever ordered this, and I recommend this on all of my clients. But most doctors will never order it. Never. So I agree with you. That is probably, in my opinion, the single most important test. And I'm I have other people, doctors online that are more functional medicine doctors saying the same thing. But you want to know way ahead of time, I get my lab work checked every 3 months. Okay, I want to know what's going on. I want to know what's going on inside the engine. You know what I mean? So, and again, if you want that, or if it's necessary, you'll be able to do it. Which a lot of physicians, correct me if I'm wrong, may say, we don't need to do that because again, there's insurance involved and things
Right.
like that. Right. So you're not beholding to the insurance company.
Correct.
You're not beholding to the president of the hospital telling you what to do. You know, you're ordering too many lab works. Excuse me. You got to see more patients.
Right.
This type of stuff. You're able to dictate what you want to do, what you think is best. And I don't want to badmouth physicians. I'm sure all physicians go in with the greatest intentions in the world.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But then it's also a tremendous burnout rate with physicians.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because when you have to see 15 to 20 patients a day, the national average for each patient visit is about 12 minutes. You know, in that amount of time, how many issues can you address? Even one issue you cannot, really properly address. So, and the physicians, they are seeing so many patients. So at the end of the day, then they often end up staying late or bringing work home. They're working all the time, not just the visits. We have to finish the visit notes, but we got to address their labs, which, now that with the electronic medical record, everything comes in your EMR. You have to address their labs, their messages, go through all the consults, make sure that, you're not missing anything there. It's a lot. And just imagine with a panel of 2,500 patients, that box, the EMR box is full. So it's that definitely leads to a physician burnout. And, the physician also feels like, what am I doing? I'm just, I'm really not addressing, the root cause. I'm just, they come in, the symptom, whatever the symptom, I just treat the symptom. So not making a real dent in that. They can, yes, you can give them all the medications that can show a little bit of improvement, but it does not really cure the root cause. So.
And I think the other thing that I really like about your practice is now they're hiring more and more nurse practitioners and physician's assistants because they're so busy, and one times you may not even have a chance to see the doctor for a while. So I think we're coming up towards the end of the show. I think he's letting us know. So actually, guys, this is going to be a two-part series here. So we're going to come back right after this. We're going to take a brief break. But before we do that, can you just mention how they reach you?
Oh, they can reach me directly on my number 425-615-1623. Or they can go through the website, which is www.rhythmmedicalprimarycare.com.
Or you can email me, philgeorge@charter.net, and we can shoot it over to you. And I just want to mention before we break, we're having to do a big seminar up at Route 12 Pickleball in West Boylston. Kelly Hamilton, ICU nurse, and myself. And that's at 10:30 to 11:30. So email me, philgeorge@charter.net. If you want to come down, we're going to have some prizes. It'll be a lot of fun. Okay, guys, thanks for tuning in. We're going to come right back in about 2 minutes, and we'll be back. One of the most common questions I'm asked as a biochemist and health coach is, what are the best supplements to take? Choosing supplements is a tricky business. Many companies have poor quality control and questionable ingredients. In the past, I had to send clients to several different websites. I am now able to offer one-stop shopping for all the quality brands I recommend with no shipping cost and a lower price in most cases. Just email me, philgeorge@charter.net, for a free consult.